This is a story from long ago, from a time before memory, when the world itself was still afraid. In those days, there was a hunger that gnawed at the land. It was a hunger of the belly and of the soul. Plagues crept from village to village, spreading without mercy. They took the young, the old, the strong, and the weak. There was no cure, only fear. Wars burned across the continents, endless fires consuming everything, because no one had the strength or the will to stand in their way. Kings fought for scraps of ruined earth, and their soldiers died for nothing. But worse than famine, worse than plague, worse than the endless wars, were the demons. They walked openly among men, their shadows stretching long in the dying light of the sun. The world was broken, and darkness was winning. The demons were not all the same. Some were small things, cruel and petty, whispering poison into the ears of desperate men, turning neighbor against neighbor. They delighted in small pains, in shattered hopes and broken trust. Others were far more sinister. They were shapeless things that could hide inside human bodies, wearing the faces of loved ones like masks. You could be speaking to your brother one moment, and the next, realize a demon was looking back at you from his eyes. And then there were the great beasts, the hunters. They were nightmares of claw and fang that stalked the edges of civilization, hunting men like animals, dragging them into the deep woods to be devoured. But above them all, ruling the shattered world from a throne of fear, stood one great and terrible power. They called it the swallowing darkness. It had no face, no true form, just an endless consuming void that promised to one day devour the sky itself. Watching all of this suffering, all of this decay, was Tehlu. He was the first, the maker. He had spun the stars into being and breathed life onto the barren rock of the world. He had made it to be a good place, a garden of light and wonder. But mankind, his precious creation, had grown wicked. They had learned greed and hatred and cruelty. They had invited the demons into their hearts and their homes. And so Tehlu, heartbroken, did nothing. He watched as his beautiful creation tore itself apart, believing it was the punishment humanity had chosen for itself. He turned his face away and the world grew colder in his absence. He watched for an age, silent and still, until he saw a woman named Patrick. She lived in a forgotten village at the edge of a dying wood. Her life was cruel and crushingly poor. She knew hunger, she knew loss. She saw the demons that passed her door at night. Yet, in all her years, she never once prayed for herself. When she knelt by her small candle, her whispered words were only for others, for a sick neighbor, for a lost child in a nearby town, for the world itself to find peace. She never cursed the darkness. She never stopped being kind, even when kindness was a fool's game. In a world of despair, her small, unwavering light was a defiance Tehlu could not ignore. One night, as a storm raged outside her small hut, Tehlu came to her. He did not appear in a dream of glory or power. He did not come as a king on a golden throne. He came to her as he truly was, a being of pure fire and light, a voice that was the rumble of creation, and a warmth that was the heart of a star. He spoke no words, but in that silent, divine communion, a promise was made. A seed of hope was planted in the heart of a broken world. From that night, a child began to grow within but this was no ordinary child. He grew with an impossible speed, walking within weeks, speaking within months. He grew faster and stronger than any human should, and the villagers watched him with a mixture of awe and terror. He did not play like other children. He would stand for hours, staring at the horizon as if listening to a silent song. And when he finally spoke his first full sentence, his voice was not that of a boy. It was a voice as old as the mountains, as deep as the sea. A voice that seemed to remember the birth of the world. When the boy was a man in all but years, Tehlu revealed himself to the world. He descended not in light, but in judgment. He stood before the terrified villagers, the boy at his side, and with one divine finger, he drew a line in the dirt. It was a simple, straight line, but it glowed with an inner fire. He gave humanity a choice: stand on one side of the line with the hope of a new world, or remain on the other with the darkness they had embraced. There was a moment of terrible, tension-filled silence. And then, as people began to choose, the demons among them were revealed. Their human masks burned away, and the monsters stood exposed in the divine light. The hunt began. The swallowing darkness, cornered and furious, rose to its full, terrible height, blotting out the sun. But it was met with a righteous fury. The great demon was hunted down, chained in iron forged in the heart of a star, and bound to a great wheel of judgment. But Tehlu knew that even in chains, the demon's evil would poison the world. A sacrifice was needed, and so Tehlu the Maker chose to bind himself to the demon, to burn with him for all eternity, a divine fire consuming an eternal shadow. Their twin pyre became a new sun in the sky, a searing blast of light and agony that cleansed the world and banished the remaining demons to the forgotten corners of the earth. And that is the story of the sacrifice. It is why the priests of the New World wear robes the color of ash and gray, to remember the fire that gave them freedom. It is why we look to the sky at dawn and dusk, and believe that even in the darkest of times, someone is watching.